All right. Quick soldering tutorial. You're going to need a soldering iron. Duh. Hard to solder without it. I think I got this like 15, 20 bucks. The hardware store. It's a Weller. It's fine for electrical. Comes with your solder. Just a little spool of that. And get you some of these nice little snips. The ones that you get for 99 cents at Harbor Freight are junk. You want, all the different... You want this to be sharp for all the different gauges, and then they have different crimps for different connector types. It's worth the money. All right, so to solder a wire, you first start with a mechanical connection. So you want to cross these. I mean, there's all sorts of way to do it. You can kind of stick them together. Most people just make a little X, start twisting, right? Get it as tight as possible against the wire, right? Because when this is done, you want this to be like the same thickness as the rest of the wire, right? So you can't tell that there's a connection there. All right, so from here, you want to heat up the copper hot enough that you can feed the solder in there and complete the connection. So the trick is, and I always had problems with, I'd be melting the plastic. I'm just holding this onto the wire, and it never seemed to get hot enough. So just make sure when you plug your iron in, it just goes on. There's no on-off button on this one. You just plug it in, it just starts going. Just make sure it's super hot, right? So you just touch the solder to the tip of the iron, and if it turns into a liquid, it's hot enough to solder with. But here's the key. So I could hold this all day on here, and it's going to start melting that plastic, and I'm going to get cancer of the lungs by breathing in burning fucking rubber. But what you do is you tin it, right? So if you touch this directly onto the iron, it's going to turn into liquid, right? And that's going to improve the conductivity of heat from the iron to the wire, right? So get a little glob on there, and now just sit that iron on that glob, and it's staying in a liquid form, right? And it's heating up that wire. Now, that wire is hot enough that I can just push. Just a little bit of solder will do you, okay? You don't want it too thick, because then the outside is going to be what's called a cold solder, I think, and it's brittle, right? So you just want just the thickness of your wire, right? And if you make a little imperfection, or if it drips down, you can just touch it and melt it and spread it around, right? So it's instantly turns back into a liquid. All right. So here we have our soldered joint, and it's still hot, right? But it cools really rapidly. And look I cannot pull that apart already. So it's only as this cools, it's only going to get stronger. And it's no thicker than the rubber on the outside. So you just slide over some heat shrink, hit that bitch with a hairdryer, and you have a really strong connection that's not going to break. No crimping. We don't crimp. We solder now. We're big boys.